So Nothing is reportedly working on a smartphone. This is the London-based startup led by Carl Pei, the OnePlus co-founder who departed in 2020. And while this is still very much rumor territory, it makes sense that one of the 5 devices Nothing has planned for 2022 would be a smartphone. Carl Pei himself is pretty much smartphone nerd royalty, having become the public face of OnePlus in the West during his time there, and no doubt he has the connections and experience to bring this kind of product to fruition. Last October, Nothing inked a partnership deal with Qualcomm, the chip giant behind the processors in most Android phones, and earlier in 2021 it gobbled up the remains of Essential. You might remember that company, founded by Andy Rubin, that had planned a whole range of smart home products, but in the end only released a single Android phone. And in recent weeks the company's brought on board this guy, Adam Bates, former head of design at Dyson, in a move that could set it up to handle more complex design challenges like a smartphone. And as of a few days ago, Carl Pei himself is apparently back on Android and seemingly enjoying it. So yeah, many of the puzzle pieces needed for a Nothing phone to materialize in 2022 seem to be falling into place. That said, smartphone history is littered with ill-fated products from brands who thought they could break into this industry and didn't realize how tough it actually is to break through. So could Nothing actually succeed where the likes of Facebook, BlackBerry, Amazon, and Red have failed? Well, firstly, Nothing has massive brand cachet considering its small size. It boasts an impressive list of tech celebrity investors like iPhone and iPod co-creator Tony Fadell, Twitter co-founder Kevin Lin, and YouTuber extraordinaire Casey Neistat. Then there's Carl Pei himself, former frontman for OnePlus, who's generally respected for his work there and has featured on 30 Under 30 and 40 Under 40 lists as a result. Most of Carl Pei's 367,000 Twitter followers know him from the glory days at OnePlus, and he's well connected as a result of his time there. So let's zero in on OnePlus for a second. This is a brand that has pivoted with whiplash intensity over the past year or so. It was once a favourite for tech enthusiasts, but during 2021, OnePlus was merged back into parent company Oppo, and in 2022 it looks increasingly like just another big electronics brand, with an alphabet soup of entry-level and mid-range offerings and pretty lousy software support outside of a couple of flagship phones. It's also faced software difficulties, bugs and delays that paint a stark contrast with the early days of OnePlus software. 5 or 6 years ago, Oxygen OS was a simple, clean software platform made to appeal to tech-savvy customers. Now it's basically a less attractive-looking fork of Oppo's ColorOS. And all of that's important because a Nothing phone could well be seen as the spiritual successor to the old OnePlus, particularly since its brand values seem to align with what OnePlus used to stand for. Minimalist design, competitive pricing, and the idea that the technology itself should be as unobtrusive as possible. Knowing this brand, it's pretty clear that a hypothetical Nothing phone would be differentiated through design, likely introducing the translucent look that we've seen from the Ear One earbuds. This is something we've seen from the likes of HTC and Xiaomi in the past, though neither of those two brands did a great job of building an identity around that translucent look. And arguably neither executed on it particularly well either, with Xiaomi in particular including goofy looking fake components behind the clear back panel on the Mi 9. Alternatively, Nothing could take after Essential with a more unique form factor, like the weird stick phone device, the Gem, that never made it to market, or perhaps a novel approach to the display like we saw from the original Essential phone. Nothing, after all, now owns the work that went into the abandoned Essential Phone 2 and 3 concepts. But in terms of making it a good phone that you'd actually want to buy in an incredibly cutthroat marketplace, Nothing's path to success is far less clear. It's tiny compared to the likes of Apple, Samsung, or even Google's Pixel hardware division. And while partners like Qualcomm could do a lot of the legwork to get a basic smartphone together pretty quickly, there are still major challenges around key areas like the cameras. Photography and videography are arguably the major differentiators for a high-end phone, and the likes of Samsung, Apple, Google, and yes, even OnePlus have huge teams of engineers dedicated to computational photography and image tuning. And that's not something you can just build overnight, it literally takes years. Nothing doesn't have anything close to that we know of, and it would need to find a partner capable of bringing its camera system up to speed fast. In 2022, complex camera features like portrait mode and night mode are table stakes in everything but a bargain bin smartphone. They're expected to be there, but they take a lot of time, effort, and money to build. And then of course, there's the supply chain. This was challenging enough when OnePlus was producing its first couple of phones. That's why we had the old invite system to balance supply and demand. But today, the supply chain stands to become a nightmare for a company like Nothing in our post-COVID chip shortage world. Key components are likely to have been bought up by the big players years ahead of time, leaving little wiggle room for newcomers like Nothing. So they'd likely need to lean pretty heavily on an ODM partner to turn around an Android phone anytime soon. You could imagine a similar situation to the early days of the Google Pixel line, where it was HTC or LG doing a lot of the manufacturing legwork. Like the earliest OnePlus phones, a Nothing phone wouldn't necessarily need to sell in large numbers or be one of the very best Android devices to be seen as a success. And while Nothing has plenty going for it in terms of brand value and awareness, not to mention its founder's close association with the phone industry, the technology and supply chain odds are stacked against it. So look, even a modestly successful Nothing phone is far from guaranteed. But if it happens, it could be one of the year's most interesting Android phones, simply because of the brand's strong identity, the approach to design that it's likely to take, and the sheer number of challenges it faces bringing this new phone to market. Let us know what you want to see from a Nothing phone down in the comments, and subscribe to Android Central so you don't miss our hands-on coverage if it does actually turn out to be real. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.